Hey guys, how's it going? Usually I don't do movie reviews, but I'm looking to do that within this year. Knowing in the life that is me, there's some ironies and coincidences that had happened, and as we all know, we just lost Alan Rickman, either today or yesterday or whenever you're watching this, we lost him, to cancer. I actually had some ironic moments to this moment right here where I'm recording to you guys and wanting to talk about Galaxy Quest. First off, I was listening to the soundtrack pretty much all this week, going like, oh my god, I need to see this movie again, and of course the movie was already on my mind for some time, and then suddenly Alan Rickman passes away, and I was like, I have to do something. There's just no way in hell I gotta let this pass. I've gotta talk about Galaxy Quest. So, without further ado, here we go. Galaxy Quest! Now, Galaxy Quest came out in 1999, and I actually was late to the game watching it, but when I did, that movie had stuck with me ever since. Now, in parallel to, we have Star Trek, and to this movie, it is almost the exact same thing. In fact, this is a parody of our fandom to Star Trek and what these actors have maybe technically gone through, almost being typecast by the role that defined them and got them noticed in the first place. And what's interesting is to see some of these actors play these roles in certain ways that you're like, wow, you know for a fact that Tim Allen's character, Peter Quincy Taggart, he's embraced it since the get-go. He loves being commander, he loves being in the spotlight, and he's always in the forefront of everything, so he even does things without his friends knowing about it. And you can see the tension building between him and his co-workers because they're all like, you're just annoying, dude. And then you have Sigourney Weaver's character, which is, Gwen DeMarco. She's just like, does anybody notice what I do? I'm a pointless character, yet you just see me as nothing but boobs and a tight outfit. And you also have Alan Rickman's character, who doesn't quite understand the fandom, so he has to repeat his most famous line that he's ever done, and it's like, by Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, you shall be avenged. He hates that line. Bottom line here, especially when it comes to reviewing this, there are a lot of people, when I had mentioned Galaxy Quest, not a single one of them had said yes, they have ever even heard of it. I am actually going to be gracious and say, no spoilers. So when we reach these characters at this certain point in time, they either have a large amount of apathy between themselves and the characters that they have played against this fandom that really loves them and has no problem showing how much they care about the show. Now, unfortunately, Alan Rickman's character, he has an open resentment to it. Like, he plays an alien. He doesn't get the fandom. He doesn't care. He has a famous line and everyone wants to say it to him and he's just like, don't do that. Don't. I'm not kidding. And he's ready to break down. He's ready to just do whatever. And it sucks. Like, he just can't stand it. Actor Jason Naismith, who plays the commander, Peter Quincy Taggart, he's embraced the role. He loves the fandom. He's just like, oh my god, I can't get enough of it. And he's like, your commander is on deck. It's just great because everyone's like, you are so full of it. Little did they all know they were going to get one of the biggest life-changing career opportunities of their entire life. In steps Thermians, and they have seen the show. They love the show so much to the point where they've recreated a part of it. And they have had their own pickle and problems, and they're looking to Naismith as like, you are the glimmering hope that we have, and unfortunately they're not as dramatic as I just made it out to be. In fact, they're actually quite awkward. The Thermians are not into social ways. The way we normally would come is like, I need your help. Can you help me? They're more like, we are the Thermians from Klaatu Nebula and we need your help. They're so awkward and adorable, but at the same time, you realize that they have created this entire show and made it real. How is that possible? So they go to Naismith first and they're like, hey, can you help us? And he thinks of it as something else. He thinks that it's like some little low-budget acting gig that's being offered to him. And unfortunately for him, he had no clue that they were actually serious. Like, they needed his help. The next time they come around is surprisingly funny as it is awkward. And it's just, to me, honestly, comedic gold. Look for that scene when they actually show up at Naismith's house. Oh my god. Hilarious. Whatever the said crisis that Naismith was supposed to, encounter and deal with, He believes he did because he was hungover, and he just doesn't realize that the threat is not as quickly resolved as he may have thought. In steps the rest of the team, his crew that has to be brought along with to help out, and that's as far as I'm gonna go as far in like spoiler territory, but it just results into the most handsomely written stuff that's pretty much condensed into one movie that I think could have been told in a series of movies, and it's amazing. This movie is funny, it's charming, it's witty, and it's heartfelt and even sometimes emotional at points, which is surprising. You don't get that in comedies. Usually that kind of kills the entire vibe. But more importantly, everyone does go through their own character developments. You have Gwen DeMarco, who only repeated the computer mainframe. She goes through her own set of, developments, especially with Naismith, because they had their own little connections back in the show, and now they're like, well, was it just a fairy tale then as it is now? I mean, should we even dive into what the fandom believes? Then you also have Alan Rickman's character, who I think pretty much stole the show throughout the entire thing, not just because he's passed on to my praising him, because he was the one that stood out the most. He always complained about Naismith taking everything from him, and also couldn't understand the fandom that, made him famous in the first place, and so he's usually the one guy who complains about everything, and when they're ready to embrace it, he's not. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. If anything, I feel like he was the scene stealer. He was the one that made them probably the most development, if not still sort of kind of with resentment. Nevertheless, it's not entirely the biggest forefront of the entire thing. It's funny. That's what it's supposed to be. And it doesn't pander to the people who have fandoms and love shows that, were near and dear to them. It doesn't pander to them. It doesn't patronize them. It doesn't insult them. They are given full credit for even bringing it to the table and saying, hey, this is what I love. And that's what the movie does best. Now, of course, the movie's not without its conflict or main villain. That is Ceres. Now, he wants something from the Thermians. What they have created is something very pivotal to the show, as well as what has been created for real life. So he wants what they made, and he will stop at nothing to get it. And he's one intimidating dude. Like, my God. Wow. He looks really pissed. So when he's on, you know that this time to take things seriously. When it's not, and they're all trying to figure out what are they doing here in the first place, you know that that's the funny bits. And then deep down, when you're following a certain character, you know that they're just trying to figure out how'd they get here in the first place, what are they gonna do, and what point do they serve? And it's great to see that fleshed out enough, and especially in a movie like this. So to wrap this up, to be honest with you, Galaxy Quest is one of my favorite movies of pretty much any comedy whatsoever, and also sci-fi if you really have to count it as that, because it is in space and it's sci-fi. So I love it. It's great. You should check it out. If you haven't heard of it, but we're kind of, it looks really stupid and corny, go for it. That's because that's what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. Really well acted. It's really well realized. It's corny, it's stupid, it's dopey, but it's also very charming, very funny, and has a very great heart in its center. And it has a couple of great themes with it too. I don't usually have ratings for movies, but if I had to give it anything, I'd say it's worth buying on Blu-ray, DVD, catch it on Netflix. I mean, just give it a watch. That's the best thing I can tell you. That is the highest rating, is like, watch it. Please see it, because one, it's Alan Rickman, and he's pretty funny. Tim Allen, of course, he's in his prime in this point, he's really great in it. Sigourney Weaver, Tony Shalhoub, this is really good cast here, so it's really nice to see these actors really all together. But in the end, of course, this is what's really sad, is that we don't have Alan Rickman in this world with us anymore, and we'll see him in a better place. But he did give us something really worth talking about. It's memorable. This is really memorable stuff. Have you guys seen Galaxy Quest? What did you think about it? Tell me your praises, tell me your woes, all down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.